Next time you go to the beach, have a look down at the tide line. Look where the seaweed is. And if you look closely, you'll find that there are lots of bottle tops, earbud sticks, broken balloons, coffee cups, sanitary items. In the summer, when there are lots of tourists, we see nappies and wet wipes left on the beaches too. All of these things are plastic. And as the tide comes in, they'll pick them up and take them out. And eventually, these plastic items will break down and form microplastics. Those microplastics enter the food chain, and all of us here, if we had a way of scanning, would have microplastics within your bodies. That, combined with the problems that we have with sewage in our seas when we get heavy rain. I could do a whole 40-minute talk, actually, just on the sewage system in Southend. I have regular meetings with the water company. But the problem that we also have with sewage in our water, and I'm a really keen open water swimmer, and that has led to my interest in sustainability. I'm Penny, I'm the director of Wild Bookkeeping, and I'm a really keen open water swimmer, bookkeeper, and passionate about sustainability. So how is this relevant to us as bookkeepers and accountants? Well, reporting is changing, and there is the ability now to link software up to your accounting software to measure the carbon impact of your clients. And something which Alex is going to explain to us more in later detail is that we will need to start doing this reporting mandatory. But why wait for it to be mandated when we could start doing this now? So all of us here have met through a course that's run by Kathryn, the Sustainable Accountancy Professionals Programme, and we're here today to talk to you about our journey to sustainability and why it's important. So, Hayley, you amazingly live completely off-grid. So would you like to tell everybody a little bit about your off-grid lifestyle and how have you found it easy to integrate that into your business?
Hi everyone, I'm Hayley, the off-grid accountant. I call myself the off-grid accountant because, as Penny said, my house is completely off-grid. So what that means is we have no grid connection whatsoever. So we have a wind turbine and solar panels for our electricity supply. We've got an on-site well for our water. My internet is a 4G SIM card like you get in your mobile phone, which works surprisingly well. We have a backup generator because if we have days with no sun, no wind, once our batteries are depleted, we would run out of electricity. Living off-grid because I live off-grid from a personal point of view, you could say that I live quite sustainably. And I went on a bit of a journey last year and decided that I wanted to be more sustainable in my business practices as well. But to be completely honest, Penny, in answer to your question, it was quite hard because when you don't really know anything, there's so much jargon, so many words, net zero, carbon neutral, all of the scopes. It's just like a minefield. And to be completely honest, I didn't understand really what any of it meant. As luck would have it, I heard Kathryn talking on a podcast and subsequently had a conversation with her and joined up on her course, which explained all of that and started me well on my way on my sustainability journey.
Thank you. It's really interesting. So this is actually Hayley's wind turbine here. Yes. So, and I assumed when I first spoke to Hayley that it would be really easy living such a sustainable lifestyle to integrate that into her business. But as Hayley said, there's so much more that we need to think about. So, Kathryn, you started off running your bookkeeping practice, which has always been sustainable, and you've now decided to green up the accounting industry. So tell us a little bit more about yourself and why you've made that decision.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm Kathryn Frimond. I run Your Local Bookkeeper, which works with purpose-driven businesses. So we have a lot of B Corps and charities on our books. And I also, as everyone said, run the Sustainable Accountancy Professionals Programme, which wasn't supposed to be such a mouthful when I made it up. And that's encouraging accountants and bookkeepers to take steps in their own practice to be more sustainable, and also encourage their clients to be more sustainable. And sort of one of the things that we discussed before we came on here was a lot of accountants say, well, how can I make a difference? And if I tell you that, I've got to get the figures right here, but if I tell you that there's 275,000 registered accountants in the UK and there's 77,000 registered bookkeepers in the UK, if we all made one little change, and that might be going paperless or, looking at our pensions, which we'll come on to later, just imagine what impact that could make on the planet.
Yeah, it's really quite incredible, isn't it? If we had just think about the group of us in this room here, the number of clients that we have between us, and that impact rolling out, it's a really good start. So Alex, you're head of sustainability at the Sustainabilty Suite. Tell us a bit more about yourself and your journey and how you came to be interested in sustainability.
Yeah, thank you, Penny. Hi, I'm Alex, head of sustainability at Sustainabilty Suite. So my journey started quite strangely from a young age when I was about 4 or 5 years old at a petting zoo. One of my family members told me that the goat I was petting we was going to eat later, and that made me turn to a vegetarian. So from there I went to school and learnt about how sustainable farming practices could really benefit the environment, and that led me into further education with sustainability and then general tree hugging really. So now at this stage of my life I'm working with accountants, trying to help them leverage their business acumens to help their clients reduce their CO2 impact. And that's led me to meet wonderful people.
Lovely, thanks Alex. So Kathryn, obviously when you started your business off, it was bookkeeping, sustainability was your interest, and you wanted you were looking for sustainable clients. You've been doing this for a while now, a lot longer than us, from the sustainability point of view. Have you found it's given you a commercial advantage?
Absolutely, 100% yes. Before we were talking, so all my marketing is focused on sustainable businesses. I do have other businesses but in my books, but most of them are sustainable, or have that drive to be more purpose-driven and less capitalist, I suppose. And what they look for now in a bookkeeper is someone that has the same values as them. So I'm part of a few networking groups, and they now seek me out because I have these more ethical values, not saying that everyone else isn't ethical. And what I'm finding is that because I niche in that sector, I can actually charge a premium for being more ethical, because they want someone that has the same values as them. So from a general kind of fee perspective, I'm now charging a little bit more as a result. And just to let you know, I do influence kind of the other clients that aren't in that sector as well. So what I'm finding is that I've got a travel business, they come to me and talk about sustainable travel, or they're very proud to come and tell me they got the train rather than a diesel car. And I've got an IT company that's actually moved from providing new tech to providing refurbished tech where they can, and streamlining processes where they can. So it's definitely got a commercial edge, back to your original question.
Yeah, that's really good to hear actually. So if we think about everyone here, obviously pricing and adding value, having that difference is something that we're all interested in. Everybody wants to try to gain more clients, and certainly the model that Kathryn's seen is you can charge extra. I was talking to one of my clients and they weren't as interested in sustainability, but they were telling me that their teenage daughter is incredibly interested in sustainability. And when they go out and buy something, their daughter will tell them off and say, you can't buy that brand, you need to buy this one instead. So although clients at the moment may just be waking up to sustainability, I think the next generation coming through are going to have this really high on their agenda. So if we can have this firmly established, in our social media, on our websites, and in our actions, I think it will really give us a good commercial edge. So another side that's coming in now is reporting, which is something affecting large companies now. So Alex, this is something I know you're involved with Sustainability Suite. So could you tell us a bit more about Scope 3, whether you think this is going to trickle down and how quickly, and is it something we need to be looking at with our small clients and just going for it now with the bottom up to be ready?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that, first of all, it's really important for those who don't know to understand what Scope 1, 2 and 3 emissions are. So Scope 1 emissions are the direct emissions that are coming from your business. So, for instance, if you've got a factory, it's the smoke that's coming out of the chimney. Your Scope 2 emissions are your indirect emissions, so that is the energy that you're purchasing to run that factory. Your Scope 3 emissions, which is the real important one for me, it's pretty much all the rest of your indirect emissions. So that's how are your staff getting into the office? That's how deep we're going into this. Where have you got the supplies to create your products from? So your Scope 3 emissions are so vast, but larger companies are starting to report on that. So if one of your clients, or even your business yourself, are found within that value chain, then you are potentially at risk of losing clients, losing large contracts because you're affecting their Scope 3 negatively. So absolutely, trickling down, it is having an effect, and it's only going to have more of an effect. But trickling up, which is what we were mentioning earlier, and coming back to that, is massive. We really should be driving this from the bottom. Why wait until it is going to affect the business when, in fact, you can just start helping them already? Why take on that risk?
Yeah. I think that's something really important. I thought this was really easy. I did a talk at Accountex North, and as part of that, I was sharing the platform with Neo Eco, and I was challenged to we did it in small 10-minute presentations to say, how easy is it been to implement this with your clients? And I had to be honest and say, it's actually quite hard. There's a lot of mapping to do. There's a lot of things to think about. As Hayley said earlier, there's a lot of terminology. So I think if we wait until we have to do this for our clients, if we wait till we're mandated to do this, we're going to be left on the back foot and we're going to find this so much harder to do. Whereas if we can start now and start small while it's still voluntary, and Neo Eco have actually got a smaller version now suitable for smaller clients. So this is something that we can start working with now, practice with, do it while it's voluntary. And I think by the time it's mandated, you can then say, we've got a history. We've been doing work in this field now for the last 3 or 4 years. And that, I think, is going to be far more powerful than saying we're only doing this because we have to do it. So I think we've got a bit of a perfect storm here, haven't we? We've got something which is the right thing to do and the thing that we should be doing for the planet, but it's also something which is commercially viable for us as well. So all of us here, when I think back to your introductions, what you were telling me is your interest in sustainability came from very personal reasons. But what we found is that it has a commercial value to it as well. So we've talked about the commercial value and how we can add value to our practices. What are the real reasons, the true benefit why we should be doing this? So Kathryn, I think you're probably the best person to answer this one.
Yeah, so just to start off with, my interest sort of peaked back in 2019 when I read a book by someone called David Wallace Wells. And I did have the book with me, but I've left it in the hotel room, so you can Google it. And it's called The Uninhabitable Earth. And when I read that book, the first chapters go through everything that will happen to the Earth if we don't take action. That's things that we're seeing already: heat waves, wildfires, flooding, displacement of people, lack of water, lack of food, and the ability to grow food. And that's sort of the doom and gloom, but that did start me off on a bit of a rabbit hole, and I would recommend that everyone reads that book if you're interested. And then that was shortly after actually having my son, who was born in 2018. And that book triggered me because I cannot leave this planet knowing that I haven't done everything to protect my son. And as a parent, it's my responsibility to protect him. And if I'm not working towards a better planet and a livable planet for him to live on, then how can I say that I'm being a good mum? And he deserves to live on a planet, and on the trajectory that we are going, he's going to have a very, very different upbringing to the idyllic one that I had back in the 90s. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's so true. When I think with my own children and the way that we want to leave the world for the future, I think this is something that's really important we need to take on board. So, Alex, where do you feel with this? I know you've got some very passionate views on the planet and climate as well. So,
yeah, I think that being in my generation, we've been inheriting kind of a pretty awful and bleak situation. But I think there's two types of people. There's the people who really think that, look, we can turn this around, and then there's the people who say, nah, we haven't got a chance, may as well get on with things. I'm definitely on the board of, look, we can turn this around. We all just need to leverage our skills that we have. So you need to think about, look, what can I do? What can I do? And I think that, look, everyone in this room, you're all business advisors, so advise businesses to go greener.
So, Hayley, I know you're starting a project in your business soon, which is really, really exciting and is affecting the way that you're talking to your clients. So tell us a bit more about that project and what you're doing.
Yeah, so it's a plant your tree project, but the difference here is, so for every client that we have and every new client that we take on, we're going to be planting trees on our farm. So I live on a farm, which I'm very lucky to do that. So we're going to be planting the trees in our own fields. So it's going to be really exciting to see that grow, first of all, and all of the new wildlife and different habitats and things that it brings with it. But what this is also enabling me to do is bring that conversation in with my clients from the very first point that I speak to them. As I'm quite new to this journey, I have found speaking to clients about it and starting those initial conversations quite easy to do in things like monthly review meetings, or if you don't have monthly review meetings, if you have quarterly catch-ups, just at any touch points that you have with the clients, even in your monthly newsletters, just including a paragraph about what's going on in your business from a sustainable point of view. So I found those touch points to be quite easy with the clients that I already have, but what I'm looking to do is start that conversation from the very beginning. And this is one way that's a little bit different that hopefully will do that, and it really truly will make a difference.
I think that's incredible. So eventually you're going to have your own client forest. So which is fantastic. I don't think there's many of us that have the space that we can build our own client forest, but what a fantastic input, and being able to make sure those trees are looked after. So in Wild Bookkeeping, we do something similar, but not on our own land. So we subscribe to a platform called B1G1. And every time we take on a client, we use Go Proposal, and we have the lines built into Go Proposal. So we ask our clients to choose one of the 17 UN Sustainability Goals. And I find this is really fascinating because you've been through the pricing with the client, you've looked at their transaction volumes, and then you come to something that's really quite personal. And I'm able to say, look, sustainability is really important to us here at Wild. Which of these would you choose and why? So it gives me a really good insight to that know your client and understanding. And as it's the last thing that we do in the proposal meeting, it leaves very firmly in their mind that we are a sustainable company. B1G1 I chose because it has really good widgets that I can embed on my website, so clients can see and track which projects we've donated to. And in addition to that, every time we file a tax return or a VAT return, we also provide education, bookkeeping and financial education to women in Malawi and Uganda. And again, that counts up on our website. So it's a great way of demonstrating to people that we are a sustainable company at the same time as doing some good as well. So that's something I find my clients really like. So what sort of small changes? I think For me, I found moving into sustainability to be quite overwhelming to start with, although I've realised I'm doing more than I thought I was. But what sort of things, I think it's really important to start off with small changes, small easy actions. When I first started my personal sustainability journey, I set myself a challenge of each month trying to do one new thing, swapping out one product, trying something different. So if we're thinking about small changes and what small changes could we make in our businesses, what sort of things can you suggest? So Alex, what have you done in your business as a small change?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the small change I'd recommend to everyone is to look inwardly into your business. Just actually spend a little bit of time just thinking about these small changes you can do. I mean, accountants and bookkeepers who I speak to every single day, you'd be shocked by the amount who are still printing obscene amounts of paper. Look, there's a really strong business case there not to print, but there's an even bigger environmental impact from stopping printing. So just have a look. There's tiny changes that will also save you money. So let's just have a look at doing them.
I have to say, I can't remember the last time we printed anything at all in our business now. We are, really completely paperless. So, Hayley, what sort of things have you done in your business? What could you suggest as small changes for people here today?
So when I spoke to Kathryn the very first time, it completely blew my mind that emails do have a digital footprint, and I just couldn't believe that. I just, probably call me naive, call me ignorant, but it's the truth. I just had no idea. And of course, I'm an accountant, so I've got every email that I've ever sent to somebody and every email I've received for the past 10 years. So subsequently, as soon as I ended the call with Kathryn, I went and deleted thousands of emails. And I don't believe I'm alone being of that mindset as an accountant or a bookkeeper.
No, it's a really scary thing, isn't it? That number of emails we've got and deleting stuff.
Yeah, so for me, that was the easiest change that anybody can walk away from here today and do.
Yeah, I think that digital footprint is really key. I don't know if people here have thought about it, but every document that you're storing digitally, every email that you've got, we think it's not taking up space. You just turn on your computer and it's there. But they're all stored somewhere in a data centre. And data centres generate a huge amount of heat and power. So if we can start getting rid of those duplicate documents, emails that we don't need, that's going to free up space in data centres and reduce your carbon footprint. So Kathryn, what small changes would you suggest for people to make today?
Yeah, so mine's quite a big change actually, but it is very quick to do. So most people don't realise that when they open a bank account or when they have their money invested in a pension or with insurers, things like that, that bank account or pension reinvest your money elsewhere. And whether you've got £1 million or £1 in the bank, that's what they're doing. And what I would like you all to do is go away and look at your pensions, because they could be invested in nice things like solar farms or wind farms, or they could be invested in something like fossil fuel exploration, war, arms, weaponry, and things that actually, if you had that money under your mattress, you probably wouldn't invest in those things. And also, the other two have spoken a little bit about giving up things. So you've got to delete your emails, you've got to give up printing. But switching your pension, you don't have to give up anything. And it's 21 times more impactful than something like stopping flying. What I found out actually just on a webinar last week is that ethical pensions are now outperforming traditional fossil fuel invested pensions. So all you need to do is go onto your pension, ask them, write them an email and ask them where they're investing your money. And if not, switch.
Yeah, really good. And on that note, banking as well. So have a look at bank.green and see how green your bank is. So switch your bank account, look at where they're investing their money and what projects they're working with as well. So energy supply would be another one for me. I thought I was with a sustainable energy supplier. When I looked into it more, I wasn't. And again, that's a really easy switch to make. So look at your energy supplier I would say definitely think about joining a course. Kathryn has a really good Facebook group, and Kathryn's course, and Scott at the back there, Scott also runs a course, so and has some great stuff on LinkedIn as well. So follow Kathryn, follow Scott, join a course, look at your energy supplier, think about where you bank. And if you look at things like ESG Mark and B Corp, they have questionnaires and templates that will give you some ideas, so you can have a look. I was personally surprised when I started applying for ESG Mark, and it's actually made me realise how many things I'm doing already and what other small changes I can make ready to finalise that application. So Kathryn, the key thing really with your course is we're talking about how we can make this chargeable. So we've spoken so far about the changes that all of you can make in your practices to make your own practices green. But if we want to start rolling this out to our clients, that's a really good thing to do and very noble, but it's not going to put food on the table and pay the bills. So Kathryn, how can we make this into a chargeable service to our clients?
Yeah, so as I mentioned already, the first way I charge for it is that I charge a slight premium because of the sort of clients that I work with. The second way is in your management reporting, and most of you probably do monthly or quarterly management reports or cash flows. And what you can now do is plug your accounting software into a carbon reporting system, and that pulls off a carbon footprint for your client. And that at least gets the conversation going, but it's all a chargeable service as part of the non-financial KPIs in your management reporting package.
Yeah, so there are things that we can use to help. There are a number of software vendors out here. Certainly if you go to the sustainability area, there are people there, and Alex's company have a stand as well. So Alex, what have you got to say about how we can make this into a chargeable service?
Yeah, absolutely. So, look, your clients are going to need this type of strategy. So it's time that we start offering this strategy, right? That is, you can charge for that. You're going to spend hours with them creating reports. You can charge for that. But what this does when you develop a strategy is you're actually going to go forward, and there's going to be so many different services that they're going to ask for because you understand their business. So then it might be, look, do they want a carbon footprint? Well, that might be something that interests you. You might want to start doing carbon footprinting. Impact reporting is perfect for bookkeepers and it's perfect for accountants. It really takes in a lot of your skill set already with numbers. So, and also, I mean, for instance, we had a client called GLS. They already started their journey, then we started developing a strategy with them, and then we started having weekly meetings. Every single week we would have a meeting to go through how are they getting along and developing new strategy, and that's led to them getting a lot of new clients and winning big contracts. So it's very beneficial for them. And it's very beneficial for us. So there's plenty of services that you can offer by just starting to develop that strategy.
Yeah, so at Wild Bookkeeping, we're looking at our year end is July. So my plan is to have my impact report and my carbon reporting done for my July 24 year end, communicate that to my clients, and then ask them if they'd like to do the same. I can then add it in as an extra page on their management accounts to do some carbon reporting, and use the questionnaires and resources I've done for measuring my own business and have that as a package I can sell on to my clients. So we're almost at the end of our session today. If we had one action for everybody to take away, what would that be? Hayley?
So mine would be the emails. So definitely start deleting emails. That's my one message.
And mine's the banks and the pensions. So go to www.bank.green and you can type in your bank there and it will tell you just how nasty it probably is.
And mine, I hate to keep beating the same thing, but it's develop a strategy. Look at your own company and see what you can do. Just start having to think about it.
For me, I would say, look at the number of vendors that we've got out here today. Go and talk to each of those vendors. When you go and speak to them and they're trying to sell you their product, ask them what their sustainability strategy is and don't let them greenwash you with the answer. But if you imagine if every single person here asked every vendor that you speak to over the next 2 days, that's going to have an impact. They're going to start thinking, hang on a minute, everybody's asking us about sustainability. So we need to be like pebbles in a pond. Look at that ripple effect, and that we can make a change now. We can start here, and we can grow that change out. So does anybody have any questions?
I didn't get your name. Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
Kathryn.
Okay, Mark. I'm a sole practitioner in practice. So would you care to name any banks, if that's not an unfair question?
No, it's fine. Barclays is the worst.
Thank God I don't use them.
Oh, who's best? Someone's just asking me. None of them are that good. But if I was going to pick one, it would be Triodos Bank, but I don't think that they now take businesses on board, but from a personal level, Triodos Bank. Starling are doing good things, but maybe we can go and ask Starling Bank because they are here, so maybe we can go and ask them exactly what they're doing.
The same question about pensions, worst and best?
Pensions, I'm not very good on pensions, but I don't know. I'd have to come back to you, I think.
Good.
So if there's no other questions, it just leaves me to say thank you all for coming here today. And what I'd ask you is, let's start that journey together. You can choose to start your journey to sustainability today. We only need everyone to make one small change. We don't all have to be perfect. We just need all of us to be imperfect but taking action. So are you going to start your journey today, or are you going to be a dinosaur waiting for extinction? Because 2028 is just too late. So thank you everybody for coming.